Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. We're going to be looking at the second week of July, the astrology of that week. And while I try not to make these videos too political, I do occasionally mention politics. Last week was, and this week we have some opportunities to perhaps talk about that and come to some understanding, open the lines of communication around it. So I'm going to be putting some ideas and thoughts out there. And so if you're not all that interested in the politics of things, I'll just let you know that there is going to be some politics spoken in this video. And I know many of you like to watch me because I do mention politics. So just fair warning. Hey, my bird is, as soon as I start, my bird is squawking in the other room. So hopefully it won't get too loud. I think my husband might be cooking something. And so the bird always likes to remind him that he likes food too. Anyway, let's jump right into the week. Yes? Alrighty. All right, so we're going to be looking at the week of from July 7th to July 13th. Just a note that July 7th is the 7/7 portal. Today is the 6th. It's a Saturday. July 7th is a Sunday. I will be doing a portal reading tomorrow on the 7th. I like to do the portal readings in the energy of the day, so you can keep your eyes peeled for that. All right, let us get moving here. All right, so this is just general couple of just the different aspects that are occurring this week. There's not a whole lot happening. Usually there's more than this, but these are, of course, we're in a very potent time. It doesn't matter how many aspects we have necessarily. We can have one aspect in a week, and if it's a doozy of a week, right? All right, so we start with actually the 8th, Monday, where we have Venus making a waxing sextile to Uranus. This is occurring at 27 degrees of Cancer for Venus and 27 degrees of Taurus for Uranus. These aspects, sextiles, waxing sextiles, is sort of the opening salvo of the synodic cycle that began with the conjunction of Venus and Uranus. This is the sextile is where we open the lines of communication. It is a mentally stimulating aspect. And this is a time when we can actually talk to each other and share ideas and share information so that we are better informed. And with Venus, we're always dealing with issues of money and relationship. And with Uranus, we're dealing with more progressive thought, more general humanitarian things in a more humanitarian direction. But of course, with Uranus, it can also be just crazy stuff. So, you know, we'll see how it manifests this week for us. On the 8th, we also have Mercury making a waxing sextile to Jupiter. Again, the same kind of aspect. The waxing sextile stimulating our curiosity even. And when you're dealing with Mercury and Jupiter, Mercury is a planet associated with the reasoning mind. Mercury is connected in medical astrology to the nervous system. It is the interface, in a way, how we get information in. And Jupiter is a planet of expansion and understanding and the big picture. Mercury is the details. Jupiter is the big picture. And we have a conversation going on here with this sextile where we can get details that will give us a better understanding of the big picture. And also the big picture can help us not get too caught up into details. Both Mercury and Jupiter are planets associated with the way our mind works. Jupiter is more intuitive, sort of right brain, whereas Mercury is the more logical left brain. And they're talking to each other this week, which is, I think, very important. On Wednesday, the 10th, the sun makes a waxing trine to Saturn. Waxing trine means it's a growing trine. It has the overlay energy of Leo, so it's self-expressive, it's creative, but it's also egocentric. This is occurring at 20 degrees of Cancer for the sun, of course, and 20 degrees of Pisces for Saturn. Saturn just at the end of June retrograded at that 20th degree of Pisces, and so it's sort of still there. These planets take a while, you know, as they apparently change direction for them to get into the next degree. So it's still in that degree, and it still has that sort of powerful energy of the Saturn retrograde in Pisces, which has been very challenging at this time for us, especially here in the US. Well, I mean, I don't know, probably everywhere, right? I mean, we're all on the same planet. It's just that we'll experience it within the parameters of our life. On the 11th, Venus makes a waxing trine to Neptune. These trines, like we have sextiles this week and trines, sextiles and trines, those are considered positive or easy aspects, and some might say good aspects. But every aspect, you know, everything has two sides, whereas sextiles I find to be always cool, maybe because I have a whole bunch in my chart, because it stimulates your mind, it stimulates your curiosity, it helps you to come to an understanding of things. Whereas the trine is often an energy where there's actually absolutely nothing getting in the way of the two planets. And so it's a flow of energy that cannot be stopped really. And but it can be ignored. So it can't really be stopped, but it can sort of work in the background. And if we don't consciously access the power, we can waste the energy of the trine. Venus trining Neptune is an interesting combination of planets because Venus is the planet of love, and Neptune is the planet of compassion. Venus is the planet of relationship, and Neptune is the planet of illusion and delusion. And so it's easy to be tricked at this time within relationships, but it's also a very creative flow for your imagination. And so keeping maybe like 1 foot, and this will be helpful because we have the day before the sun trining Saturn, the sun being the center of our being and Saturn being the outer edge, that sort of encapsulates really our whole third dimensional experience here on planet Earth. With the Venus Neptune, Neptune is far out. It's beyond what's real, but with that combination of the sun, Saturn in this sort of reality-based energy with Venus and Neptune, maybe perhaps we can sort of avoid, you know, going off the deep end with this energy. And then on the 11th, we also have Mercury, Venus, sorry, Venus ingressing into Leo. Now, last week we had Mercury do the same thing. Mercury made a trine to Neptune, ingressed into Leo, and then made an opposition to Pluto. And that's what's happening this week, only it's happening with Venus. And the opposition to Pluto is happening on the 12th of July. So, and that's 2 degrees of Leo in Aquarius. If we look at the tree of life here we have the 2024 energy, the 15-6 energy. Remember, we are in a devil month. And then the 7 vibration of the month of July. These are the paths on the tree of life that are activated. We have a first quarter moon, this crisis in action moon this week. We have Venus moving from Cancer into Leo. And the vibrations of Venus sextile to Uranus is actually activating the Sephiroth on the tree of life connected to Uranus. So that sort of doubles down on the Uranian energy. Luckily, it's a sextile, so it can really inform us and we can be more open to out-of-the-box solutions. We also have Mercury making the sextile to Jupiter, with a little bit of a spiciness from Uranus, because that's the vibration of the day. When the sun makes a trine to Saturn, we are in Tiphereth here on the Tree of Life. This is the heart chakra. This is the center. It's really important with this energy to stabilize the emotions, stabilize the feelings. Come to understand what's truly in your heart, 25/7. And then on the 11th, we have Venus making the trine to Neptune. That is located down here in Malkuth. Malkuth is the place of victims and victimizers. And so if you are looking for a savior, somebody to save you from whatever imaginary thing, it may not work best for you. It's best to connect to have a personal connection, perhaps, with spirit at this time. And then that also includes the ingress of Venus into Leo is happening on a Malkuth day. And then when Venus opposes Pluto, that is a 27/9. That's actually up here in Kether, the crown. This is the Ace of Wands in the tarot. And so we are open to spirit, And we'll go over each one of these separately. All right, Venus waxing sextile to Uranus. Here we have the chart. This is a chart for Washington, D.C. Thank you to my viewers who do not live in the United States, that I would put a chart up for the U.S. We have it's a waxing sextile. Venus is 60 degrees in front of Uranus. This is the opening, the lines of communication. Uranus in the house of politics, and also technology, and Venus in the 12th house of the veil. Venus actually likes being in the 12th house. This could also be hidden. This could be like hidden dalliances. I think that's the word, dalliances. We might hear about some information that's shocking to us about hidden dalliances as well at this time. Venus waxing sextile to Uranus, you possess a unique capacity for social awareness, which enables you to cultivate satisfying relationships with a diverse range of people. So that Uranus really sort of allows us to relate to people who are unlike us in a way. Your interactions often have creative and beneficial effects on those involved as you bring fresh, innovative approach to social dynamics. So that's really how we can use this energy to our benefit. You're opening the lines of communication that were planted at the Venus-Uranus conjunction that occurred on May 10th, 2024. Oh, I meant to put the day in that. That would have been 18, let's see, sorry, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Actually, the day of the conjunction is also a 23/5 day, which is the King of Wands. That is the day, the 23/5 vibration here. So that's very interesting. It doesn't always happen. The conjunction happened at 24 degrees of Taurus, an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging from his belt. And from James Burgess, website, jamesburgess.com. He does the Sabian. He has a whole website on the Sabian symbols. It's definitely worth an exploration. I love using his work. I'll use his work. I'll use Dan Rudger's work. Interspersed. It's the same. It's all about the Sabian symbols, and it's just another sort of layer of understanding that you can work with the astrology. So it says one side of human nature that needs to be channeled properly instead of being denied is the natural aggression and potential for violence. So this is something that we really sort of need to look at, not avoid, because it's not going to go away. That can arise when survival is in doubt, So understand that when people feel threatened, and we know who might definitely feel threatened at this time. Well, actually lives his life feeling threatened, even though he seems to get everything he wants. There can be this sort of increase in violence. And I'm talking about the former 45th president of the US. And he's already unstable, and he's already sort of a Uranian energy. And Uranus right now is sitting right at the top of his chart, and it is squaring his Mars. So he is not in the best stable position. And actually, next week, Mars will be making a conjunction to this Uranus, squaring his Mars. And it's right on the day of the RNC, the first day of the RNC. So with Uranus, you don't know what's going to happen. So just know that chances are there's going to be some sort of eruption, explosion of some sort. Now, is it an actual explosion? It doesn't have to be an actual, but it can be a metaphorical explosion, whatever. Just know that that energy is increasing, and the pressure on him is increasing as well. All right, so that is the first aspect that happens. Oops, I pressed the wrong thing here, as I'm known to do, seems. We also have Mercury making that sextile to Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is freshly in Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini, the expansion of information. And haven't we been getting more and more information? Interestingly enough, Jupiter also is a planet connected to the Supreme Court and justice and judges and things like that. And we have it in a sextile opening lines of communication. Mercury in Leo, the voice of the king, perhaps. We'll see what that means. But this is a opening the lines of communication, and perhaps we will start talking about what actually happens. I feel like what happens with the Supreme Court and the immunity decision was one of those punch you in the gut, send you through the vortex energies. Not maybe maybe just as potent as when Trump was announced president of the United States. I mean, it was that that seemed unbelievable, and this, I think, seemed believable, but we had hoped that it wasn't. So it's more of it's a disappointment. It's an emotional hit, and we have to be able to overcome these hits, because we have to think clearly especially think clearly at this time and have a plan to move forward. And of course, the best plan we all can have is to vote. Okay, so Mercury sextile Jupiter, this combination suggests a natural ability to flow and develop harmony between details and the big picture. This is opening the lines of communication of the seeds planted at the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction that occurred on June 4th, 2024. That day vibrated to the moon, which is kind of a little bit of a crazy energy. And it happens at 3 degrees of Gemini. The Sabian symbol for 3 degrees of Gemini is the Garden of the Tuileries. And I'm sure I'm saying it wrong because it's French and I don't speak French. And all you French people are out there are like, yeah, we know you don't speak French. We can tell. Anyway, the symbol, according to James Burgess, crystallization, bringing to bear the rational mind to explain the mysteries, solidifies experience into the foundation of knowledge, understanding hierarchy and privilege. Interesting symbol, don't you think, for this time? That we are maybe talking about privilege and the hierarchy and who really rules things. And we live in a democracy, don't the people have a say? But of course, we're trying to create a more perfect union. And the Supreme Court seems to be pooping on that. But again, it's not over till, you know what Yogi Berra says, it ain't over till it's over. And this is far from over. So do not lose hope. Do not lose, just focus on what you can affect and focus on what you want to see and take actions in that direction. That is what's going to get us through this. I mean, this is the soul of the US. What did we expect it to be easy? Evolution is not for sissies, guys. Which is one of my favorite sayings. Okay, so on the 10th of July, we have the sun making that trine to Saturn. Remember, the sun is the center of our solar system. It is our reason. Okay, I'm going to do French again. Please be nice to me. Raison d'être. Reason for living, the sun, right? The center, the gravity point. And then Saturn is the outer rim of what we can see with our eyes. Planets beyond the orbit of Saturn, we can't see with our naked eye. We need a telescope. We need an extrasensory help to see beyond that. And so this is really circumscribes our experience on planet Earth. And so it's kind of a reality check, really. Anytime Saturn is involved, it's a reality check. And we have the sun. The sun deals with leadership. And so we're going to be thinking about leadership. We're going to be thinking about who we want to lead this country. I know there's this whole, of this whole hullabaloo about Biden being too old and Biden this and Biden that. And in the meantime, we got a guy who's like nuts, crazy, lies, like doesn't even, like can't even tell the truth and wants to, destroy the democracy. Like, what's the problem here? Yeah, 81 is old. Yes, it is, but it's also wisdom that we need at this time. We need the wisdom. And this Saturn trine the sun brings that out. We need somebody who is stable and who has wisdom. And the sun trine Saturn, we have the sun in Cancer, we have Saturn in Pisces, and the other water sign is Scorpio. And we actually have Joe Biden's Mercury is at 21 degrees of Scorpio. So it actually creates a grand trine with the sun and Saturn. So that's very interesting, as it were. But let's see what it says about this. It says this aspect makes you serious, reserved, and quietly confident. You are conscientious and a hard worker who takes responsibility. Now, he was just on with Stephanopoulos, and he said, it was my fault. I took on too much. I did this, I did that. We think that, like, if he was just sitting around playing golf and, doing whatever the other guy does all day, who knows, takes a nap in the middle of the day. This is a man who is running all over the world, putting out fires. He has the whole situation with Netanyahu who's undermining him at every turn. And yet he wants to support Israel because he believes that Israel has the right to exist and they have the right for safety. He has the whole Ukrainian thing. Finally, that is sort of like eased up a little bit. He has this crazy ass person he's running up against. And he has what they were doing to his son with, this constant like attack of his family. It's like the core of his being. And, he loves his country and he loves his family. And him and his family have had to make a lot of sacrifices in order for him to be in the place that he is. And so he is a true patriot. He understands the sacrifices you need to make to keep a democracy. And so these are all things that we want to have in a leader, right? Even if he is slow. And anyway, he doesn't do it by himself. He doesn't do it by himself, and he has a great vice president. So I don't know what everybody's worried about. Let's just calm down and start to focus on the things that really matter. And what really matters is that our democracy is on the line. And for nothing else, if you're a woman and you don't think that you think it's going to get better with this other guy, he's already an adjudicated, can you say the R word, right? And he's already a felon, and he's already lied, and he's already tried an insurrection. What's the problem here, guys? What's the problem? Right? All these, people saying, oh, we should go, oh, we should go. Yeah, everybody wants their voice heard and their opinion heard. But it's all ego. It's all ego. We need to do what's best for the country. and the people in the country, especially women and children and elderly and people who have less. The other guy is simply working for the oligarchs. And haven't we had enough of that? Creative self, okay, so this is creative self-expression of the seeds planted at the Sun-Saturn conjunction that occurred on the 28th of February at 10 degrees of Pisces. An aviator pursues his journey flying through ground obscuring clouds. Only the few manage to go beyond levels of normal excellence to master their chosen craft and skill set, attain the highest level of responsibility you can manage. Let's take Joe Biden's example and start being better people, being our best people, supporting what is going to feed us and support us instead of just having to stand up and be counted for your opinion. We are a nation that is under threat. And the only person who's going to save us, we have a leader who can show us the way, but if we don't choose to do what's best for the collective, then we are going to no longer be a collective in the way that we are now. Okay. I told you I was going to get political, so I did warn you. Fair warning. And I would not have been so political if what hadn't happened last week happened. So on the 11th, we have Venus making the waxing trine to Neptune. This is that energy. Venus, what we love, our relationships. It's also money. Neptune can be illusion, delusion, but it can also be great healing, the healing power of compassion. Now, these are at the same degrees as Mercury was last week, right? We had Mercury at 30 degrees of Cancer. We had Neptune at 30 degrees of Pisces. In fact, on the 2nd of July, Neptune stationed retrograde. It's in this degree. It's been in this degree, this last degree of Pisces since May 4th, and it's going to be there, I think, until like September 1st or September 2nd or 3rd or something. So it's pretty much sitting still in this degree. It is the last degree of the last sign of the zodiac, and Pisces is about disillusion. It's also about mass consciousness. It can be a lot of water, so we can't take the whole water everywhere, water, we better care mantra. With storms, I know as I do this, Beryl is just moving into the Gulf of Mexico and is headed for Texas. So if you happen to live in Texas, please, that whole area, what, Texas, Louisiana, but I think it's going to hit Texas. And it's going over the warm waters of the Gulf, so it could really jump up in categories. Please be safe for anybody who happens to be in the line of that storm. So Venus waxing trine Neptune, a free flow of creative energy between the planet of love and the planet of compassion. This can also create illusions or delusions in those seeking saving. Part of the cycle that began on the 3rd of April. Incidentally, that vibration was the devil when Venus and Neptune conjoined at 28 degrees of Pisces. The symbol for 28 degrees of Pisces was under a fertile garden under a full moon. Enough is a feast, living with an attitude of gratitude. Now, Venus in Cancer at 30 degrees, daughters of the American Revolution, tradition, trine Neptune at 30 degrees of Pisces, a great stone to face, becoming our own ideal. This is an opportunity for us to become our own ideal, but we need to be our best selves. The vibration for the day is a 26/8. That is the messenger, right? The page of wands, the messenger from spirit. Spirit is giving us a message, guys. We best listen. On the 11th, Venus ingresses into Leo. Venus loves being in Leo. Like Venus was in Cancer and she was sort of at the shoreline. Maybe she was wearing flip-flops and, a nice sundress and, wading through the waters. or spending time in her kitchen cooking up delicious snacks with Venus in Cancer. Now she moves into Leo, and she has to do her hair. She's looking fantastic. She's finding her crown. She's going to stick it on her head. She is going to express herself. This is Venus. This is Venus. This is the energy of the feminine in her power. Now, I do want to point out that Venus as the ruler of the South Node, and the South Node in Libra being issues that perhaps we need to let go of. How we define ourselves through relationships in this chart, we have it in the first house with the North Node in Aries, in the seventh house, new ways of relating to each other, Aries in the second. All right, so the planet of values, relationship, love, and money moves into Leo. So we look at the symbols for Leo, 1 degree of Leo, a case of apoplexy. So this is what James Burgess says about this symbol. It's about a man's head, like getting really red from the creative force, right? And so it says, on a psychological level, the fire in the heart, which is exemplified by Leo as courage, confidence, enthusiasm, and creativity, can also become dangerous if it goes to the head. The danger is that the ego's self-love becomes overblown and unrealistic. And in the extreme case, if thwarted, can give rise to a red-faced, uncontrolled, apoplectic anger. Does it sound like anybody we know? It requires great strength of character fully to embody the life force in our personality without losing poise and perspective. So this is about utilizing our creative force, but not becoming so convinced of our own greatness that we miss the boat on this and waste the gift that we can give to society and to the world. Now, the sun is the ruler of Leo, and I always like to see what the ruler of the sign that another planet moves into is doing. We have Leo, we have the sun at 20 degrees of Cancer, gondoliers in a serenade, celebration of permitted emotional expression. So it's okay to be self-expression. It's okay, but we need to do it in ways in which everybody agrees is appropriate for the situation. And I know a lot of people are like, I'm sick of being appropriate for this situation, but that is the wisdom that we're being shown here by the stars. So let's listen. Again, we're in a page of wands, which is messages. And now the last thing that happens this week, and this week is actually, even though maybe it doesn't sound chill to you, it's pretty chill, because next week, woo, that's when we have the Mars-Uranus conjunction. And I will talk about that next week, this time next week, for next week. Okay. The 12th, this is actually a 27-9 vibration. This is the Ace of Wands. This is, the hand of God handing off the wand of life to us. It is a highly creative energy. It's actually a Leo energy. It's a Leo energy. It's a Pluto energy. It's also a Neptune energy on the tree of life. And of course, Venus is opposing Pluto. Venus is in 2 degrees of Leo, Pluto at 2 degrees of Aquarius. This is the halfway point and the point of awareness of the Pluto-Venus conjunction, the Pluto-Venus synod that began at the conjunction. And that occurred at 1 degree of Aquarius. And 1 degree of Aquarius is an old Adobe mission in California. Lasting values. The 1st degree of Aquarius has been active since the end of 2020, when Saturn and Jupiter conjoined at that degree. And it was really kind of what a lot of people sensed as the beginning of the Aquarian age. Perhaps the Aquarian age finally got to society. Those are 2 societal planets. The Aquarian age has been going on for quite a while. So, and it is an age shift, and we don't have exact times. And really, it's about an increased awareness. And I think that we certainly have gotten a boost in our awareness. Those who were sleeping are no longer sleeping. Those who are still asleep, well, maybe they need a little bit more chaos in their life. But for those of us who were either came in awake or semi-awake, it has been quite a journey. Let's just remember that we chose to be here, and that our job is to shine our light. And the best way to shine your light is to be in love, not necessarily in love with your ego self, but just in love with compassion and a willingness to relate to one another and come together. Okay. Venus opposing Pluto. Now Venus is at 2 degrees of Leo, an epidemic of months, in opposition to Pluto at 2 degrees of Aquarius, an unexpected thunderstorm. These two symbols are quite scary, really. Hate to say it, but true. The epidemic of months speaks to, in the Sabian symbol book, it does speak to how something small can spread very quickly and cause a lot of disruption, in opposition to this unexpected thunderstorm. Remember, we have barrel rolling in this week, and there's all kind, I mean, we don't have to look very far to see what's going on in the world. When it comes to the climate and the storms. And I have a teacher who many years ago talked that the emotions of the people is expressed in the weather, and people are upset, and so is the weather. Okay. So in personal relationships, this can bring us to deep feelings around those relationships, especially ones that are obsessive and controlling in nature. This opposition between Pluto and Venus. It's sort of the whole theme of the rape of Persephone and her becoming the queen of the underworld and spending half her time with her mother in the upper world and half the time with her husband in the lower world, and the need to sort of dig down into the depths of the lower world to find our power, because she went in as a maiden and she came out as a queen. But it was her struggles and her challenges that created her title of queen. If you want to be a queen, if you want to be somebody who's sort of energetically at a higher level, or just socially at a higher level, it's a place where you have to take responsibility seriously. And if you don't, then you're just a huckster, and you know who I'm talking about. So in worldly events, this is interesting. In worldly events, we can see issues around power, control, money, sexuality. How about those Epstein files, guys? Interesting. All we can talk about is Joe Biden's age and the fact that he's slowed down a bit. A man who works crazy hours at 81 for our benefit and is sacrificing his family for our benefit and is trying to keep a lid on things in the world, getting us out of wars, not getting us into them, getting us out of them. We want a what? And then this guy is all over the Epstein files. And have you heard about them? If you're not looking for it, certainly the media is not talking about it. So, it's the thing with the ex-president is that it was always, look at him doing this, look at him doing this. And it was always something on the other hand it wasn't this we should need to pay attention to. It's what is not being said that we need to pay attention to. And it's the opposition, right? It's awareness. It's the whole picture. And we're dealing with Leo, which is ego, and Aquarius, which is humanity, and the balance between those two things. We need an ego to function in this world. However, we also need to be able to step aside and allow the soul to come in that unites us, and we all rise together. We all rise together, guys. So we might as well get together and we'll get up there faster, right? Okay, I think that's it. Yes, I believe that's the end of that. If I kept you too long, I apologize. But there was a lot to say. As I said, it was quite political this time. And hopefully that's not, hopefully you were able to follow despite that. Or maybe you followed because of that. All right, well, have yourself a great week. Please, please, please be careful. If you are in an area where there's tough weather, I have one of my best friends is in Phoenix, well, the Phoenix area, Mesa, I think. And her mother is ill and she's down there for, taking care of her. Her and her siblings have to take turns, but her siblings they all live far away. So they come in for a week and they're managing the mother who has gotten ill. And I asked her, I said, what's it like there? She said hot as balls. Anyway, 115. And I was like, oh, okay. As I'm sitting in my yard with the breeze and, I'm like, it's a little muggy here, but it's like, 75. It's cool, right? So take care of yourselves. If you're in a hot place, hydrate. If you're in a place where there are fires, please be careful. If the place where there's too much water, please be careful. We are going to get through this. And just remember who is going to help us in this situation and who doesn't give a crap. So that's important as we face this week. All right, guys, I'll see you again next week. Check out my Moon Shadows episode. I just did it with Ona this past Friday, the new moon in Cancer. It's a lovely new moon amidst all this insanity, of course. And we are not going to be doing our Mystic Sisters live. Well, we didn't do it this week. We're going to do it next week, though. It's going to be on Ona's channel, Ona's Tarot on YouTube. So, but I'll put announcements out for that. Okay. Have a great week, and I'll see you again next week. Much love. Love you all. Namaste.